Hey everybody, welcome to Board Game Heaven. My name is Raymond, and in this video I'm going to take a look at Chronicles of Crime, the Millennium series, and this is the 2400 edition of that. There are several. There's also the 1400 and the 1900 so far, and there are probably going to be more in that series. This one is designed by, and I hope I pronounce these names correctly, David Sikorel and Wojciech Graszkowski, and it's published by Lucky Duck Games. It's an interactive game that uses an app, and you're going to be scanning cards and interacting with NPCs, all kinds of things. Really cool investigative kind of game. It's for 1 to 4 players, which plays in about 60 to 90 minutes per session, I would say, and is for ages 12 and up. Now, before I start explaining how to play this game and share my thoughts, I'd like to point you towards my Patreon page, because if you'd like to support what I do, which is greatly appreciated, you can do so for as little as just €1 per month or more, and in return you'll get early access to my videos, access to some Patreon exclusive posts, and your name in the credits of my videos as well. Thank you very much. Let's get started with looking at the game. To set up the game, you basically just put all the components on the table. That's all you need to do. So this is the evidence board. You place that in the middle of the table. This is your implant board, which shows you which kind of cybernetic implants your character that you'll be playing is going to have during the game. Over here is the home instance board, which has this home icon on the top left here. Just put that nearby as well. And these cards will have 4 slots, 4 characters to place there, so you know who's at which location. And the other location boards have that as well, but you just keep those all together in a pile nearby as well. Then you take your character cards, which are these cards with the face on it, and you keep them face down in order. You don't need to shuffle them next to your evidence board, as well as these special item cards, which have this green-yellow burst on it. And also don't shuffle these, just keep them in numerical order. Same goes for the cybernetic implant cards. There's a couple of those, and just keep those face down as well, and you'll be gaining those during the game and placing them on the implants board. And then you take a whole stack of these evidence category cards. You can place those face up. They have the neon magnifying glass on them, but you can just flip those over or make smaller stacks, because they all have text on them of stuff that you might find in these locations, and you kind of need to familiarize yourself a little bit with the terms. So just go through them quickly and read them out to all the players, and just keep them in easy reach of all the players. And then finally you have this Raven card, which is basically your drone, kind of like a smart device that gives you access to all kinds of information. He's your cybernetic buddy, and you keep him nearby as well, because you're going to be using that a lot. Also, make sure you have the Chronicles of Crime app installed on your smart device, and then you're ready to play. Let's explain the rules. So to play Chronicles of Crime, all you need are the components of the game, of course, and the app. So if you've installed the app, simply hit it and it will load up the app, Lucky Duck Games, Chronicles of Crime, and all the different Chronicles of Crime scenarios and games will be on there. So there's the 1400, there's the 1900, 2400, Chronicles of Time, there's London with extra scenarios, there's Noir, and Welcome to Redview. And you can hear it also has some music. This is localized already, so once you install it, it will be in your language, and just select the game you're playing. So in this case, 2400. Tells you a little bit something about the game. There's a tutorial scenario, the main scenario, which is 3 chapters, and the end game, which is the 4th chapter. So simply start with the tutorial if you're playing this for the first time, and then it will tell you to download it first or to continue if you've already downloaded. So it's not going to download unless you start playing it, which saves space on your smart device, which is good. So you just click that, and they tell you, hey, do you want to continue with your previous game or start a new one? So in this case, I'm going to select no, because I've already played it, of course. And then it will tell you, hey, welcome to the tutorial, and you can just start playing like that. You don't actually need to read the rules. So, you know, if you're not interested in a quick overview, you can skip right away to the final thoughts. The timestamps are below, and there's going to be no spoilers for you, or, you know, minor spoilers if you're, you know, checking out this part of the tutorial. So again, this is in Dutch because it's automatically localized, and then it tells you what to do. So next, and then just read that out to all the people. And in this story, in this game, you're playing as Kalia Lavelle. You're a former officer of the elite Belcour Watchman who has gone rogue. So all of that is in the story here. So the story itself is in English in this case. It's just the interface that's localized. Right, so it'll tell you how everything works, how the icons work. There's a menu here that you can use to take a step back, and you can start by setting up the components, which we already did, and it tells you what all the icons mean. It's very simple and very straightforward. There's evidence category cards, again, these cards with the text on them, in this case blood and organs with the magnifying glass on the back, also magnifying glass here. The special item cards, which are these. I'll just show you the first one. So they have a star in the top left here, which is this star again, and a starburst on the back. So that's easily recognizable. Again, the Raven cards, this just goes through the setup that we already did. If you see this arrow here, that means you can scroll down. You can just do this, or just a little bit there left. Sometimes you have some more text. And then now the story really starts. So tells you about the background, that you left Belcour Watchman, but you're still investigating some things. And it just goes on and on. And now it tells you, hey, there's a new character. So you look for character 3, and you just take the character pile and you look for character 3. So here it is, character 3. And you can flip that over and you can see who that is. So now you have a face and a QR code. Now every time you want to interact with a card, you can do so by using the app, of course. So now this, it tells you, is placed in one of the unlocated character slots. That's the purple ones down here, again with the same icon as on the back of the card, because you don't know where they are yet. This person gave you a call and now you don't know where they are, but you'll find them later, and then you can localize them on one of the locations, put them there so you know where they are. All right, so here he's talking to you, Kalia, I need your help. And it tells you, hey, there's a location D which you need to find. So you can find that location. So let's say that's probably on the back of C here. So this is location D. It says so in the top left, also has a QR code, and you put that on the table somewhere within easy reach. I'm just going to put it here for now. See, and it tells you that you need to do that. So this app will guide you through everything. You don't even need to read the rules. So now it tells you, hey, there's a this person that we already have, telling you something about a security drone that he's sent to investigate, which is a robot. And I'll just skip that a bit. So now if you want to go there, you scan the QR code. So you can do that, see, and then it will bring up a little scanning box. So you just hover that over. I'll bring the card closer. So you just hover that over here, and then when you're ready, you need to touch it. So you just touch it anywhere. You need to hold it, I believe. And it scans. There you go, just within the square. All right. And then with some music, with some background sounds, it'll tell you what you see at that location. And maybe you'll find some new characters. See, there's a driver, number 25, a security drone, number 8, and a handcuffed man, number 19. So you take those from this stack and you place them on this location. There's 4 slots, there's 3 cards that we need to place there now. And that's how that works. See, here you can see the cards placed underneath the location. And the music is really cool. And then if you want to interact with the character, scan the QR code on their card. So it tells you for now, try talking to the security drone, which is card number 8. So again, brings up this. So let's just grab that card real quick. And this is just a tutorial, so it's going to be very simple and straightforward. So we have the security drone here. As you can see, it looks like a robot. So you hold that underneath in here, and then you just hold this, and then it'll tell you what happens. And this is basically what you do for the entire game. You interact with characters, with objects, with locations, and you can cross-reference by asking characters about locations or about these terms that you find, these objects, these investigation objects. And every time you have a question, there's there's the help function as well, and it's really straightforward. And when you're done interacting with the character, you can now ask it, because here you see the name of the character you're interacting with, and now you can talk with it about anything you scan. So you can scan the location again, because that's where you are. Hold that here, just hold this. Boop. Oh, I think that went wrong. I'm talking to the security drone. I guess it doesn't have anything to say about this. No. All right, so I can't ask it about the location, but I can ask it, for example, about the person who sent me here. Maybe it knows something about that, because this person sent the drone there. Managing Director of Cybernetics Inc. Only person allowed to change current priorities, see? So yeah, you learned something. And you can ask it about the other characters that you find at the location. And when you're done, you say goodbye. It says tot ziens here in Dutch, of course. And now you're back, at the location. You're still there, but you can scan something else. You can scan another person to interact with them, etc. And at some point, the app will tell you how you can continue. And that is, in a nutshell, what you're doing. So the tutorial will guide you through all of that, and all the chapters are pretty straightforward like that as well. It's just up to you to see what to ask to which characters, to try and connect the dots, to try and find these items that you need to find, these objects, and ask people around and find out where some things are or where people are. You need to investigate all kinds of stuff. And it's really fun. And you can use the Raven as a kind of a reference. It can search information for you as well. It's kind of like your mobile Google, if you will. It's basically your smart device. It can use as a drone as well. And you'll get implants too. So these implants, at some point you'll get these, and I'm not going to show them to you, but they will match the art on this, but with some kind of cybernetic implant. So your character will be augmented, and you can use those implants to look for more clues. They can help you with the investigation, which is really cool. And at certain points, you'll be looking for these clues. So you arrive at a location, and then the app will tell you, hey, you're at this location, you have a number of seconds to look around. So that's when you take your smart device, and I've advanced a little bit in the story, so it'll tell you, hey, Lux called me again. User experience search the area, then ask around about anything you find there. So I want you to find the killer and get my shipment back. That's what this tutorial is about. So his office is at H, so you can go to a new location. But first, we will scan this area. So your mission has just been laid out for you. You need to figure out what happened at the crime scene. All right, let's just see what happens. Okay. So the app will have this icon, this magnifying glass, which says search the location. So you can now scan. So I'll go here to this. I'll hold the scan button. There we go. Search the location. And now it'll tell you, hey, if you have the 3D looking glasses, you can put them on your smart device and it will work as a kind of a 3D glasses, but we don't have that, so I'm going to look without, and then it will count down. I'm sorry for the reflection, of course, but now you see the location. Now you can use your fingers to just move that around, but you can also actually hold, if you want to, the smart device and move that around to physically move up and down and left and right. So as you can see, this looks really awesome. And now you're looking for clues. So you're seeing stuff on the ground, like these boxes here or this vehicle, and you're seeing all kinds of stuff. There's a store here. I mean, there's other things you find, and you call them out as you play, and then the other players or you yourself at some point will count down that you're done. You have to stop, and then that's it. But you can hand the mobile device to someone else and they can watch again, or you can watch again should you want to, or you press no when you're done. So that's when you take these cards and go through it, and hey, we saw a vehicle, let's take that card. Cybernetics, communication devices, signs and symbols. We saw some graffiti on the wall. Did we see anything? Oh, there were some screens and displays, maybe we saw that. There was something with a hologram. What else? We saw some trash. So you go through these and you just pick whatever you think matches the things you saw, and then you can start scanning those and looking around, and some will help you, some not, and you can ask people about these things as well. So there's all kinds of interaction going on there. And so you progress through the game more and more until you start piecing together all the clues, which you need to, remember or write down, because at the end of each scenario, the app will ask you if you want to solve the case. And then when you click the Solve the Case button on the app, you'll be asked a number of questions, which you will then answer. And if you want to answer a certain question, you need to scan the corresponding card. So if, for example, tells you, oh, do you know who the culprit was? And you have a character that you think was the culprit, you can scan their QR code and then you move on. And then at the end, you can read the solution, see how well you did, and then move on to the next chapter. That is basically how you play it. It's very cool, very intuitive, but let's go to my final thoughts. So my final thoughts on Chronicles of Crime 2400 by Lucky Duck Games. Let's start with the components. So you get a semi-large box which has a really cool insert, plastic insert that holds all the cards. It even has a lid with Chronicles of Crime on it. So you have room for the bigger cards, for the small cards, and for these locations, these big sheets basically. Plus, it has some icons here that tell you what components go where, and it does seem to me like this is made for all the different kinds of Chronicles of Crimes games in this series, because it has more room than I actually needed for this game. So I guess this is a universal insert, but it's really cleverly made, and yeah, the box looks really cool. Some nice art on it as well. Otherwise, you get the small cards and the bigger cards, and they are of a very good quality, very nice thickness. They feel very good, and the printing on them is very clear and very easy to read, and they need to be, because you have these QR codes that you need to scan, of course. But all of that is done very well. I think the production value is very good. For what it is, it's mostly just paperwork, because all of the gameplay basically takes place in the app, and this is just basically handouts, things you handle and you put on your evidence board here. You have these locations that you visit, also very nice and big with the QR code again. And you have this board which has 15 slots for red cards for all the items you find, the evidence you collect, and 5 spaces in blue, which are people or cards, things that you don't know where they are yet. And so you have spots for everything, which helps keep the game a bit organized and easier to track. So component-wise, I think this is well done. It's nothing super fancy, but the art, though, is absolutely amazing. That's mostly what I like about this game so much, is that it's visually very attractive. It's the art on all the locations is fantastic, and I'm not going to show all of them to you. Don't want to spoil too much, but all of those cards look beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And even these character cards, they're all different. And again, I'm not going to show them all. I'm just going to show you one. So you got here this character, and all of them look really cool. There's definitely some cyberpunk vibes going on there. So that is really nice. You have these cards with items, and you have these cards with basically terms of things that you might find in a location, and those just have text on them, so they're not too special. It would be cool if they had art, but they basically have text, and you kind of need to remember more or less what kinds of things you can find, so you can take these as a clue. But that works really well, I think. But yeah, I really love the art on all of these cards. Even the app looks really cool and cyberpunky, so I think that is done well as well. And you could see the app as a component of the game. It's something they designed to go with the game. You do need, of course, a smart device to play it on, so that is a requirement. The theme I really like, the cyberpunk futuristic sci-fi theme really comes through again in the art and in the app, and there's even some background music you can play on the app that makes it even more immersive. So I think they did that very well too, and every single one of these games in this series has a different time, so also a different theme. There's one in the Middle Ages, for example, so that's pretty cool. All of that, I think, deserves a big thumbs up. Then the gameplay. So you're playing this with an app, and you can play it with 1 to 4 players. I personally prefer to play it with, 2 or 3 players, which is fun. So you can all think about what you've found and how to connect the clues. But you can perfectly play this solo and even up to 4 people if you so want. And it's fun. It's you're constantly debating on what you see, and of course the person with the smart device can look at an environment. If you're somewhere and you need to look around for clues, you can take the smart device and actually look around with it, and you'll see a 360 3D environment basically. You can stream it to a smart TV if you have one. So if you're playing this in the living room, you could stream what you're seeing. You could send that to the TV so everybody can see what you're seeing, which I think is a good way to play it. Otherwise, just one person will be able to see it, or you'd have to pass it on and allow everybody to take a minute to look at the surroundings, which also works. But that is, again, something that you need to take in mind. There is the app, and one person will have the smart device and will have to explain what they see to the rest of the group, which is part of the gameplay. But I kind of do want to see, for myself as well, what's been made and all these cool environments. And there's a lot of work that went into these apps. And I want to enjoy that. So having the ability to cast it to a smart TV is a plus, and you can do that. So that's good, but you need to have a TV, and you need to be able to play this in your living room for that to work, of course. If you bring it with you to a convention or to somebody's house, and you're sitting at a table where there's no TV in the neighborhood, then you'll have to make do with the device. But it does work. It is just the way you prefer to play it. And otherwise, it's just, reading, a lot of reading, looking for clues, trying to go through these cards and then match them together, seeing the connections. And that's a lot of fun. It's basically a detective game. And it reminds me a lot of the point-and-click video games that we used to play, and that I still play, actually. You're moving from location to location, and that costs time, and you're interacting with NPCs, and you're asking them questions about the locations, about the things you saw there, about other people you've met. And, every time you speak to someone about something and you find out something new, that might unlock a new thing to talk about with other NPCs. Just like in those video games. And in that regard, it is very much like that. It is very much kind of a linear video game, but you get to decide where to go and what to look for in any order you want. So that's a lot of fun as well. And I do enjoy that. It's not for everyone, I guess, especially since it makes use of an app. That is a very integral part of the game, of course. But they designed this game around doing that, and I think they did that very well. I'm having a lot of fun with this game, and I'd love to play the other ones as well. So looking forward to doing that. Absolutely gets 2 thumbs up from me. There is, of course, the replayability issue. These kind of games have 0 replayability because once you've played through the game, you know all the clues, you know all the answers, you know the story, and that's that. You're done, and you can pass the game on to someone else. So there's that, of course. I don't know if Lucky Duck Games will be making new chapters to play, because the game comes with a tutorial chapter and then 3 full chapters to play through, which will give you plenty of playtime. So in that regard, you get plenty of content, but at some point you'll be done, and that's it. So they could technically, with the components that you have, design a new chapter to play, and just, because the app is very flexible that way, and you could play new chapters of the same game. But I'm not sure if that's in the plans, but they could totally do that, and I hope they will. Then the language dependency. There is, of course, language dependency, because there's a lot to read. There's a lot to read, and the cards some cards have text, but these mostly have just the QR codes, and there's not much else on them, except, of course, these cards with the terms, the things you find. I can read some. You've got, for example, flammable objects, animals, tools, sports equipment, firearms, you name it, tableware, bags and purses, trash. There's all kinds of stuff that you can see, just general terms, but if you spot them in a certain location, that will give you perhaps a clue, or nothing. Maybe it's a red herring. So that has text on it, and of course everything in the app that's in English. So it is very much language dependent. But all in all, I had a really good time with this. This is a very fun experience. It's, like I said, it's a bit of a graphic novel. It's a bit of a point-and-click adventure. It's an interactive story that you're playing with the components in the box and the app. And they're all standalone. You don't need any other Chronicles of Crime games to play these. So you can pick up whichever one you want and play that, and then maybe sell it again and pick up another one. That's all fine. And I think it just works really well. It's a really cool game that implements an app to progress through the story and everything. It's really well done. So I definitely had a lot of fun with this. I can certainly recommend it if you like these kinds of detective games and you don't mind using an app. Then it absolutely is worth giving a try. I'd like to thank Lucky Duck Games for sending me this to review. Very much appreciated. Thank you so much for that. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because that really helps. YouTube tells me that only a small percentage of all of my views comes from actual subscribers, so there is a lot of room for growth there if you just hit that button, which is very much appreciated. Also, please check out my Patreon page by clicking the link in the description below, or the icon at the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.